here. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite dragon who doesn't know how to be a dragon's favorite nerd. And today we are looking at the FansHobby FeiLong. And that was a Flight of Dragons reference. If you're a real 80s baby, then you know about that. But guess what? As I found out in my later age, not a lot of people remember that. But it was an awesome cartoon in the 80s. It was a cartoon movie, straight to video, I believe. And it's definitely worth a shot, definitely worth taking a look at. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that. But as for recommending this, we'll have to wait and see. And we'll do that by starting with accessories. He comes with 2 of these guns, not a lick of paint, and they're huge. And I don't think they do anything, but he does hold them. By plugging that into there, and that's pretty smart. All right, so let's talk about this figure. This was sent to me by GCI Toys. Shout out to them. They've treated me fairly well, and they said, look, you know, if you like it, keep it, and you know, if I got to pay for it, obviously, but keep it and pay for it, or if you don't like it, send it back. So they get a little plug, and I get to take a look at the figure, and you guys get a review. I feel like it's a win-win-win, if you know what I'm saying. So head is on a ball peg, and we have gray plastic, white plastic, and blue chrome on the visor. That all looks good. Range of motion is fairly limited. Up to there, down to there, and I guess you can't really see that. It's got a flap here you can get a little bit more out of, I guess. But that's unintentional, really. So up, down, side to side, confused dog look. The chest has this darker gray paint, and then the black paint, and then the red paint. The red is a little inconsistent throughout. So this red doesn't feel the same as that red, nor does it feel the same as this red. These are 2 tones of red anyway. And then it doesn't feel the same as this red, which isn't the same as this red. So like that is a little, I don't know. Some of it feels like it works, and some of it feels like it needs a second coat. Overall, not the worst thing in the world. All right. So you can pull up this upper body here, and then you get the waist swivel. So that's fine. No ab crunch. That's ultimately okay. But it comes packaged down, and it almost feels like, I don't know, it almost feels like that's the way it should look, but that doesn't look bad. It's not that big of a deal. So I guess it's fine. Let's see. The wings here are on an outward hinge here, and another hinge here, and another hinge here, which means you can fold the wings all the way across his back and kind of hide them. You can have the wings all the way out, or you can have the wings kind of angled out. There's a number of different looks you can kind of go with there. Red paint, or no, it's red plastic to break up the black, which is ultimately okay. And we'll talk about the arms when we get to dragon mode. For the shoulders, you have like a butterfly joint here, which is interesting and cool, to be honest. And then we have a ratcheted hinge here that connects to a universal. So this ratcheted hinge gets you all the way up to there. Then you have the universal joint, which allows you to get the arm all the way straight up, pretty much. You also have for the other part of the universal, you got a 360 non-ratcheted. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, yes, which gets you 90 degrees. And then, you know, his hands are like these dragon faces or whatever. So you pretty much just get this hinge. These are both double hinged, I believe. Yes. So you can get these up and out of the way, and you can expose this like hand cannon. And then you can collapse this arm a bit and expose the hand cannon even more. It's not my thing. I prefer the dragon's head to be a little bit more pronounced than that. But you have that option. Alrighty, so that knocks that out. We have a little bit of red paint along the way, and it is relatively inconsistent. And we have some black paint down in here with the red plastic. Okay, this bit is a die cast piece. Not the best thing to do. We've seen Maketoys do this in the past, or maybe it was MMC. MMC. I can't remember. Maybe it was both. But this whole piece moves at once, and which just sucks when you're trying to pose it. You can't have this flap down. Not the worst thing in the world, but not the best either, but it is on a swivel. This is a ratcheted universal. It's a soft ratchet out, and it's a hard ratchet forward. There's a lot of weight from die cast in the feet, so unfortunately, it doesn't really, let me back out a little bit. It doesn't really hold all that well. You know, it should be good enough for you to get the pose, but like, yikes. That's not the best. All right, thigh swivel built into the bottom of the universal. A ratcheted single hinge knee, which gets you far shy of 90 degrees. Now you can start taking this thing apart to transform it, but then you got that piece hanging out, so I'm not giving them credit for that. And then you have some red paint in here, which is a little dodgy, and this black paint that looks good. And then you have these ankles, which are on a ball peg, and it's not even a straight down ball peg. The ball peg is facing outward, so that's limited as well. Really, you can put down this foot here in the back, which is ratcheted. We'll talk about that in a bit. So you can get an ankle tilt down to there, and then a great upward tilt, and then the rocker is like really limited, so that's not the best either. And then we have some dodgy red paint there. I'll show you the back of this unit. You can use this as a kind of a heel spur as well, I guess. On the back of this figure, depending if you have the wings out, I'd say it cleans up fairly well. So that's cool. And what else did I want to say? There was something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, the Tampo paint. So that's all throughout and looks good, as we've kind of come to expect. This one looks a little weird. Like, it looks like a sticker almost on top of the tail. Just a strange choice, but it is there, and it's not the worst thing you've ever seen. It's just a bit peculiar. I've also found this, like, because the legs are flopping all around because they don't have the joint stability in the ratchets here to support itself. But I found that this piece gets caught up, and you got to move the legs back and move this out, and then adjust the legs. Which, once again, is not a deal breaker, but it's just something that's a bit obnoxious. He is a pretty heavy figure. And he does support his weight very well, even with the ratchet issues in the hips and the ball pegs in the feet. So all in all, it's functional. It's just not necessarily some of the best choices used here. All right, so let's give this guy a go. It's a very easy transformation, but it's also a very awkward transformation. So take this piece out of his back. My dog just came in the room. And then we need to get this head out, but these pieces separate here. But it's not the easiest thing to do. And then you push this middle piece in, but you gotta have enough clearance to get the head around to the back, and then everything sandwiches over top, including around that piece. And that's what you want. Bring the shoulders up, and you want the red pieces to be on the same side here. And I lock in the because I have a tendency to get disoriented as I'm moving it. And then move these wings up. And this has to go around this little peg here, and that connection also kind of sucks. And it has to clear the shoulder here, and that's not the best either. I almost wonder if, and I'm pretty sure in the instructions it has that, but I'm almost wondering if, that's ugly though, isn't it? Yeah, it's just not the best. Well, all right, let's try that again. Yeah, you see where it gets caught up here? Yeah, it's just not the greatest. And I'm not comfortable forcing it. But all right, keep that there. Bring up this piece, and this kind of plugs back in. And then that piece covers down. And then for the bottom of the figure, I always get a little 8 up here, just staying oriented because everything flips around. So the feet, you bring them down, and then the foot flips around to the other side. You bring down this claw here. And then you open up the back, and that as well. Fold that away just for clearance sake. And then fold this out, the tail up. And you want to fold it so that when you have it, the side with the black T here is on the same side as the black T there. And that's how you know it's all oriented, at least properly, which just basically means, I think, not twisting the waist, but I go ahead and lock it in once it gets to that point. And then you can flip these up as well. All right, so we'll bring this around and cover that down and cover that down. And then we can bring the tail out. And now we're good there. So same for the other side. Bring the foot down, bring this foot all the way around, bring the little claw in the back out to there. Open this up, fold this back, open the tail up so that you can move the leg out and around. And then fold. Let's see how I'm doing here. All right, hold up. What's happening here? Why is this not? Yeah, all right. There. And then you can sandwich all that together. Cover down on this joint here. Bring the feet down. Plug the waist in and then move these pieces down so that this piece comes around and it's supposed to grab onto it. But there. Basically, I'm gonna have to clean it up a little bit, but that is it in a nutshell. I'll clean it up, we'll take a look at it. All right, so here we are. So you get the same arm articulation. Unfortunately, that also means that you can't get, I feel like you want to get this dragon head here further up, but you can't really do that unless you were to spin this. See, I almost feel like that should, yeah, and then you could get the dragon head up and then these down. And I feel like that's better. It doesn't help this wing fit in much, if at all. But I feel like that is more, but then you can't get it down. So either way, that poses an issue. The dragon head, of course, articulation-wise, you know, that looks pretty bad. Pretty bad isn't bad meaning good. Not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good, if you know what I mean. The wings, same articulation. And then the arms here, we got a ball peg at the shoulder. Elbow hinge that gets you a little bit past 90 degrees, and then nothing for the front claws. For the legs, you have a hinge that moves out. It doesn't hold its own weight, and you can't use the ball peg at the foot to get the rocker anyway, so there's no sense in using that joint. So you pretty much just have the rocker on the ankle here, and then you have this one knee joint that gets you a pretty good range. And then nothing for the tail. And then you can unplug here and get like a waist swivel on the dragon as well. So that's cool. But this kind of has the same issues in this mode that this figure kind of has, and we'll get to that soon. Size comparison wise, there he is next to MP Grimlock, so I'd say that's a pretty good size. And there he is next to Fanstoys Grinder. And no skit today because my writer is on strike. Lazy bum. Final thoughts wise, unfortunately we have a lot of issues here. There's issues with the red paint. It's inconsistent in and of itself. Like some places it's thinner than other places, and it's the same paint being applied to the same color plastic, let alone when it's applied to a different color plastic. So there's issues with the paint. The articulation is hindered. There's issues. Some of those are hardware related, where we have a problem with the joints kind of getting you the stability that you want in the right places. Then some of it is just range. Some of it is engineering. The ball joints for the ankles that are facing outward, that's an issue. Limited range with the knees. The arms don't get you everything that you want. They work really well for robot mode, but not so well for dragon mode. With that being said, the alt mode is pretty cool, but one of the things that you really find yourself wanting to do with the alt mode is really posing those dragon arms, and that means getting them in real upward positions and real downward positions, and somehow it doesn't really work quite right. The other issue is those wings, and getting those wings to line up right with those shoulder pads. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I'm willing to admit that. And if that's the case, you can strike this criticism from the docket. But I don't see where I'm doing anything wrong, and it's not right. But that is a problem that this thing kind of poses in general, those wings. And even if it is some operator error there, it kind of speaks metaphorically for an issue with this figure, and that is its inability to get out of its own way. It's big, it's bulky, it's clunky, and as a result, it doesn't really operate well, where I feel like that's that's not necessarily indicative of this character. Like we talked about that recently, right? Like what did we look at that had a big bulkiness to it? Oh, the Roadbuster from MMC, where like some of that kind of works, like the shoulder range. Like it's not the best, but because of the bulk of the figure, like it kind of works. But here, he doesn't need to be all that bulky. Especially not bulky to the place where it's problematic. I mean, look at the size of his calves. Like it's just, you know, that's gonna have issues. So there are a number of sort of things here to take into account in negative criticism. And to be fair, I haven't been very critical of the other two things from FansHobby that I've looked at. I thought they were both solid releases. This one I feel like is not necessarily as effective as the other two. Let's talk about the positives, because there are some. The paint, not the layered paint, but the Tampo paint works fairly well. Actually, it works really well. The only part that looks a little goofy is that section on the upside of the tail. I'm not sure why they did that. That's not a good look. Some of the hardware does work, like the hardware in the shoulders and the knees as well, to be honest. It's just the range isn't great in the knees. And it's like the right idea placement-wise. Like they have hardware in the hips and stuff. It's a good idea to put it there. It's just not good enough, honestly. It does have a very cool presence. Like I can't deny that. Like it does draw your eye to it. It looks strong. It looks powerful. It looks interesting. It makes you want to stop and take a look at it. So it will display well, and it also cleans up well. The price I feel like is moderate, but we had to come down to my recommendations, right? So I still recommend it, but it's a very soft recommend. I feel like this one is not done as well as their previous two releases, and I feel like they could have done it better if they would have applied more to it. There's something about this, and this is totally subjective what I'm getting ready to say, but there's something about this that feels like it's making a mockery of me in some way. And not just me, but people that think like me in terms of collecting. Like I feel like the person that made this somehow, I don't know why, but I feel like in the back of my head, I feel like the person that made this was like, oh, you don't like complicated transformations and you want it to look G1 boxy, huh? And you want it to have ratchets. Well, I'll show you. I'll make it so big and boxy that it can't get out of its own way. I'll make the transformation so simple and yet somehow find a way to make it not fun. I'll put die-cast in it, but I'll give it messed up joints so you can't really use the feet as well as you'd like to. And I know you love that paint, but I'll put it all over the place and I'll mix match the colors and I'll put some on thinner than other places and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously I know that's not the case, but I have a hard time not feeling that way. It feels like it's somebody trying to say, like, I know what you guys want and I think it'll be easy enough to do. But what they don't realize is that there is a maybe underestimated intricate way of travel in order to pull that off. And I'm not sure that this one does. That's just my opinion. One thing before I get out of here, this wing here on these wings in the back, like you got all these hinges. I wish they would have hinged up. That would have helped as well. But yeah, thanks to GCI Toys, and thanks to you guys for watching. And more importantly, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.